Okay, I think we are broadcasting loud and clear, and I want to welcome you to the broadcast. Hopefully everything is going okay. Sorry about a little bit of a delay, but I have a brand new studio set up here, and I'm using a really cool app. And so I have two iPads, my Apple computer, and that is going. I hope that everything is going okay. So we're testing here. It looks like it's recording. Looks like everything's fine. I just saw a validation come up. So I hope this is going out to help me pass the real estate exam. I tell you what, I am going to go out there right now on my computer just to make sure that we are broadcasting loud and clear. I'll turn my microphone off here. So we'll see if this is up and rolling. I hope so. Looks like it is. It's showing live. So okay, good. I will exit out of that. All right, good. Well, this is going to be exciting. I'm mic'd up, so hopefully you can hear me okay. And I was mentioning a little bit earlier, I'm kind of I'm a tech guy, so I love technology. I found this really cool app that allows you to live stream through multiple Apple devices. It's only available for Apple. I just recently, last November, went to an Android Samsung Note 2 phone. I love it, but I love an iPhone as well too. So luckily I still have my 6S Plus iPhone, and of course I still use an iPad. and I have a couple iPads here, and I have my computer, and I'm borrowing my wife's phone. So what's really going to be cool about this is that not only, and I hope that's straight enough for you, but not only will you be able to see the screen, and I'm going to just see if we can make a quick adjustment there. It looks like that might be off just a tad, but not only will we be able to see the screen, but I can come back here from time to time and talk to you, and then we can go right to my computer as well as I draw on the computer. So lots of different camera angles, and it should be a lot of fun. So I'm excited about this. Hopefully everything's going okay. And I just want to say welcome again. We have folks that should be on from South Dakota and all over Missouri, all over South Dakota as well. I get to talk to many of you on a regular basis, and I enjoy that. I always enjoy your questions. I want you to know I'm trying to add as many tools and things that I can to the school to make the school as robust and user-friendly as I can for you. So, and of course the live streaming here where we can work problems on the board, and I can visit with you here about some information right here in class. So I wish, and I think you might be able to type in some questions. I actually could go out there. I think I'm going to go out there to my YouTube channel, and I'm going to just look because I think that you can actually type in questions to me, and I'll go out and we'll check those out from time to time. And so I'm going to just pull up real quickly here. Shows my live stream is going, and I just want to see if I can take a look at the question bank down below, and if I can, I'd love for you to participate and type some questions in. So so if you want to type a question in, looks like I can read those. Hopefully I can. Again, this is kind of brand new, some of this for me, so we'll work out some of the bugs there. Well, let's get into the material for tonight, and want to go through and work some problems for you. You know, the last couple of nights we've actually been I've been having to read the questions to you. Tonight, as you can see, you can actually take a look at the question, and hopefully you're able to read the question here along with me, and then we can actually work this question together. And I have the ability to even do a split screen, but I don't think I'm going to even attempt to try to do that tonight. So I'm going to leave this up for a moment. We'll read it together, and then I'll go up on the board and we'll just solve it right up here on the board, and we'll do a camera switch to that. So a seller's lender informs him that to pay off his loan and cover closing costs, he will need to net $184,500 on the sale of the home before broker fees. Closing costs are predicted to be $2,800. The broker charges a flat rate of $6,000. If the seller wants to walk away with $3,000, for what amount should the property be listed for? Well, that's a great question, and we need to kind of look at several things here to find out how do we solve this problem. But again, going back and reading the question, a seller's lender informs him that to pay off his loan and cover closing costs, he will need to net $184,500 on the sale of the home before broker's fees. So he's going to need to net $184,500 on the sale of the home before broker fees. Closing costs are predicted to be $2,800. The broker charges a flat rate of $6,000. If the seller wants to walk away with $3,000, for what amount should the property be listed for? Okay, so let's go up on the board and let's take a look at how we need to solve this. So I'm going to go over to the board and we'll take a look at this. Hopefully everything again is moving okay, and you can see we should be on the right screen here. So $184,500 is the net amount that we need. This is what the lender told the seller, that to pay off the loan and cover closing costs, he will need to net $184,500. So the way this is really worded is, this is for the lender in order to pay off the loan and to be able to pay any closing costs associated with that payoff, $184,500. Now, the brokerage fee in this amount was how much? It was a flat $6,000. So we want to add $6,000. Now, the key you need to remember here is anytime we have seller net problems, we need to begin with the net and add all of our expenses. We talked about this last week. So we're adding $6,000, and how much did the seller want to have for profit? $3,000. So we need to add $3,000 along with this. Now, when we add those three up, I get $193,500. So that would be the seller profit is $193,500, and it looks like that is answer D, as in Donald. So again, kind of throws you a little bit of a curveball because we've been working seller nets, and remember on most seller net, we have to take the 100% commission and we subtract the commission rate, whatever that is, and that gives us a percentage. And then we move the decimal over 2 places, so we have 0.93. In this example, the commission was just a flat $6,000. So we don't have to worry about doing that 100% minus the commission rate. We can just simply take what the net is to pay off the loan plus the closing cost, add the commission, and add the seller profit, and that tells us what it needs to be listed for. So I just wanted you to read this question because it's worded a little bit differently than other seller net problems, okay? So we'll erase our board and we will come back over here to the table. So our next question we're going to take a look at here talks about A seller purchased a homeowner's insurance policy on January 1st. Now, we've had a homeowner's insurance policy already, so it's good for us to be familiar with prorating because you're going to see some questions on proration on the exam, okay? So again, a seller purchased a homeowner's insurance policy on January 1st. The seller sold the property on July 27th. And the buyer assumed the policy. Now, using a calendar year, if the insurance policy was $725, how would this show on the closing statement? Kind of an interesting question. Can I get on a soapbox for a minute? Because we've gone over this with the testing folks numerous times, years. I've been teaching pre-licensed real estate school since 1988. I've sold real estate for 40 years. Insurance companies normally don't let you assume an insurance policy. So it's like, why are we asking this question on the real estate examination? I have no idea. So I'll get right back off my soapbox. But I'll just tell you, you got to learn how to do this for the exam. You might see one of these questions, okay? And you could see a proration, of course, on taxes, on a water bill, on rent, and in this case, we have homeowners insurance. So let's go back and read the question one more time just so we understand what's going on, and then we'll work this on the board. So a seller purchased a homeowner's insurance policy on January 1st, okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and put that on the board over here. So January 1 is the purchase of the homeowner's insurance policy, and the seller sold the property on July 27th. So January 1 was when the homeowner purchased the insurance policy. So again, I'm going to switch back to this camera. The closing is set for July the 27th, okay? So closing is set for July 27th. Now, the buyer is going to assume this insurance policy, and it tells us in the question that the insurance policy was for $725. So when they purchased this, it was for $725, okay? $725. Using a calendar year, so we're going to use 360 days is our calendar year. How would this show on the closing statement? Okay, so how are we going to show this on the closing statement? Well, it's not as challenging as it might appear to be, but the first thing I would do is take $725 and I would divide it by 360. Remember, that's your calendar days in a year, and that's going to give us our daily amount that the insurance cost, okay? So $725, this was the yearly premium. If we divide it by 360 calendar days, we'll know how much does the insurance cost each day, per day. And the per diem is $1.99 is what I have, okay? $1.99. Now, we just need to take this times the number of days. Now, I want to kind of share with you how my mom always taught me to do this. And there's several ways we could calculate and figure this out. One of the things you need to know on insurance is, remember, this was paid on January 1st, so the insurance was paid in advance. And who paid for the insurance in advance? The seller did, right? So if the seller paid from January 1st, and we're closing on July 27th, 7/27, from this point here to 12/31, there should be a credit to who? The seller. I mean, think about it. if you paid your insurance on January the 1st for the whole year, and then you sold your house on July 27th, wouldn't you say, wait a minute, I'm not able to use the insurance. I didn't own the home from July 27th forward. And so we need to give a credit to the seller because the buyer's assuming it, and we need to debit the buyer. So what we have to try to figure out is how many days are there from January 27th to the end of the year? Well, we could just do this, couldn't we? And I should have brought my calculator down. I could take 31 days in August, right? And I want to just see if they say anything about the day of closing. So we're going to just use 31 days in August. There are 30 days in September, and you could use your calculator as you're doing this. So that gives us 61 days, doesn't it? So that's August, September. October has 31 days. So that's 92 days, right? November has 30 days. So that's 122 days. And December has 31 days left, right? And so 31 days then gives us, and I should have added this up, but let's try that again. We have 31 for August, right? 30 for September, 31 for October. So I'm going to just add those up, and I've got 92. And then I have 30 for November, right? That's going to give me 122. And then I have 31 for December, and that's going to give me 153. But then we have the 28th, the 29th, the 30th, and the 31st. So we have 4 more days. So that's going to be 157 days that are from July 27th to the end of the year. See how I did that? And if you take $1.99 times 157, you will get $312.43. $312.43. Now, this, again, will be a credit to the good. I saw several of you out there. I saw everybody in South Dakota actually say, it's a credit to the seller, John. So good job in South Dakota. And my Missouri folks, every one of you, I saw you as well. Except the person who's wearing the pajamas that's over. No, I can't see anybody, so don't worry about that. But it's a credit to the seller and a debit or a charge to the buyer. Why? Because insurance is paid in advance. Now, don't forget, items that are paid in advance, insurance, rent, normally association fees are, and they will tell you on the exam a lot of times whether it's paid in advance. But mortgage interest, accrued interest for the seller's loan balance, that's always paid in arrears. Now, prepaid interest for the buyer's loan amount is paid in advance. So let's work one of those here, okay? In fact, I want to give you a couple of things that we need to work on, just so we're all on the same page. And so let's do this question here, because you need to know how to do some amortization questions. And in fact, I'm going to do this on the iPad. So let's go back over here. And hopefully you can see me here now. And I'm going to just make a quick adjustment here. And I'm going to go to the iPad. So let's do this right here. And what I want to actually do on this question is, let's just say that this is going to be challenging because I did not bring my calculator downstairs, but I think I can still do this. We'll try to make it work somehow. I could just take a quick time out and go get my calculator, couldn't I? So if you wouldn't mind, give me just a half a second and I will go get my calculator and we'll be able to do that. So if you need to get up for just a second, I'll be right back. And I apologize, but just give me 1 second. Okay. I am back and we will we'll pick back up here. So I forgot my calculator. It's terrible that we get so used to things like our calculators and our phones, and trying to do math problems without a calculator is not going to be very good, because I'm going to make this problem up. Okay, so let me go back to the iPad, and let's just say that you are a seller, okay, and you have a loan balance, or let's just say your loan balance on April the 1st was $247,000. And you have a 7% interest rate. By the way, for our younger folks in the class, at one time, 7% was a very attractive, wonderful rate. I remember refinancing a home at 12% and I was thrilled. We have a 7% interest rate, and the mortgage payment with principal and interest is $968, okay? Now, closing will take place on May 17th. What will the payoff, the loan payoff, be on the settlement statement? Okay, so what's the loan payoff on the settlement statement? Now, this is a little more challenging because we have a loan balance on April 1st, but we're closing on May the 17th. Okay, so what I want you to do, and I'm going to walk you through this, is I'm going to show you how we can amortize a loan with the information they give us in the closing problem. Okay, so here's how we're going to do this. Simple T problems. The first T problem that I'm going to work, and if you're new to the class and you're new to the course and you don't know anything about the T problem, don't panic, all right? I cover this in other videos. I cover this in the Real Estate Math Made Easy, and so you will figure this out. There are three variables to the T problem. There's the part on top, the total on bottom, and we have percent. Now, remember that part is always the smaller number, okay? And T stands for total. It's always the big boy, the bigger number. And this is always going to be the rate or percent, right? Okay, so now we know those, And we also know that we have math symbols that tell us what to do. So if we have 1 on the top and 1 on the bottom, we can just simply divide. See that? If we have both of the bottoms, we multiply. You'll always be given two variables. You have to solve for the third. So if you have the smaller number and you have the rate, you just take the smaller number, divide it by the rate, and you end up with the answer. Now, normally on the real estate exam, what they're going to do is require you to work these 2 or 3 deep, okay? So you work a T problem, you get an answer, and you plug that answer into the rest of the information in the question, and that will help you solve the problem. And we cover those throughout the course, but we're going to just do a simple amortization right here, okay? So let me erase a couple of things here for us. So I'm going to erase the smaller number. I'm going to erase this little check mark and kind of clean this up a little bit so we can have some space to work with, okay? All right, so first thing we have is $245,000, and we have a 7% interest rate. Where do you think those would go on the T problem? Well, I have a feeling that the 247 would go down here on the bottom. And if I put this down here, and I'll explain it in just a second, and your 7% is going to go all the way over here on the bottom where our rate is. Now, we don't want to put 7% in our calculator. What we want to do is move our decimal place over 2 places. So we want to put 0.07. Now, what does our math tell us to do? It tells us to multiply. So we take 247,000 times 0.07, and that's going to give us a number. So when I take 247,000 times 0.07, I get $17,290. $17,290. What in the world is that? What is $17,290? Well, let's think about this. If your mortgage loan balance was $247,000 and your interest rate is 7%, the $17,290 is your yearly interest, okay? That's annual interest. So if we go back to this, we could label this as annual interest. It's 360 days worth of interest. That's what it is. Now, in the problem back here, this is your, remember I said this was your monthly principal and interest. Monthly is $968. So part of this $968 is what? Part of it is principal and part of it is interest. Now remember, it's monthly. Well, we wonder what the monthly interest is. How can we solve that? Couldn't we divide $17,290 by 12? And wouldn't that give us the monthly amount? Because there's 12 months in a year, right? So that gives me $1,440.83. Now, I was figuring this off the top of my head. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this here. It's no big deal. It doesn't hurt the problem, okay? Because we're only going to start using this right now. So don't panic. So I'm going to say the monthly payment is $1,780, okay? So again, don't panic. I was just throwing numbers out off the top of my head, and I went too low based on the loan amount. So the monthly mortgage principal and interest is $1,780. So don't panic that I changed that here. And on the exam, they'll give you the right amount. So just to recap what we've done, we took $247,000, we multiplied it times 0.07, and that gave us our yearly interest, annual interest. If we divide that yearly interest by 12 months in a year, we get monthly interest. That's our monthly interest right there. And I apologize, I got a lot going on the screen here, but hopefully you're staying with me. So let's just go over to the next page. I'm going to go over and I'm going to put $1,780 is the monthly principal and interest. $1,780. I think that was the amount. Yes. And over here, I need this monthly interest, which is $1,440.83. So I'm going to subtract $1,440.83. And what is this? This is the monthly interest. Okay? So if I take 1,780 minus 1,440.83, we get $339.17. What does that represent? That is principal, right? Because if we go back to this problem, we know what the monthly interest is, don't we? This figure contains principal and interest. So if we subtract the interest, wouldn't this be the principal amount? Okay? So we're moving a little further in the problem now. We now know what the principal is. But remember, our closing is set for May the what? May the 17th. So, you're going to be making your mortgage payment of $1,780 on May 1st, but you're going to have 17 days of accrued interest, or the payoff. Or we could figure up another 30 days worth of interest, but what I really want you to do or focus on is here is we're making the May payment, and then now what's the loan payoff going to be with the accrued interest from May the 17th, okay? So this right here, I'm going to go back here. This is the May 1st payment, okay? And remember, when you pay the interest on May 1st, make this payment right here on May the 1st, you actually were paying for the month of April. Why? Because interest is always paid in arrears. I'm a creative speller, so if I misspell something, just understand that. Okay? So we've made the payment on May 1st, and now we have, I think we were saying that we were going to close on May 17th, yes. So now we have to figure out on the 17th what's the loan balance and what's the accrued interest. Okay? So let's move on over and look at a couple of more problems. A couple more steps of this. So we need to get our loan balance. This was a loan balance when? April 1st, $247,000. But we made that payment on May 1st. So let's go over here So we had a loan balance of $247,000 on 4/1. On 5/1, we made our payment, right? Now, I don't know about you. I want to come back over here and just go over a couple things. If you made a payment on May the 1st, and this was principal, what should we do with this $339.17? I think we should deduct that from the April 1st loan balance. So when we take 247,000 and we subtract 339.17, we get a new loan balance on May the 1st. Actually, that is 60 and 83 cents. This is the loan payoff on 5/1. Okay? Everybody with me? Remember, we had a loan payoff on April 1st of $247,000. We made our May payment, which was $1,700 and some change, but that included principal and interest. So if we take the loan balance times the interest rate on our loan, it gives us annual interest. If we divide annual interest by 12 months, we get monthly interest. If we deduct the monthly interest from the principal and interest payment, we now arrive at the principal portion of the mortgage loan. That's what went to pay your loan balance down. The rest of that money, what was that? Let's go back over and take a look at that. The rest of that $1,440 right here, that, my friends, went to pay for the bank's furnishings and employees, and that's the bank's profit. That's interest, okay? So $1,440 went to interest, $339.17 went to principal. So to find out what the loan balance is on May 1st, all we had to do was simply go and deduct the principal amount as we did here, and we get a new payoff. So we now have part of the problem. If they said, if you had to figure out what was the payoff on April 1st, we know what that is now. But let's just say, in our example, we want to know, we're closing on the 17th of May. We need to find out, remember, when you pay your payment on the 1st, you're actually paying in arrears. So when we paid the mortgage payment here on May 1, ARREARS, okay, we were actually paying for the month of April. That's the way mortgage interest works, okay? Now we're closing on the 17th. So we've got to figure out how much is the accrued interest the seller will have to pay at closing. And so it's just working another T problem. So what we want to do is this. We're just going to repeat what we just did. I always like to draw my T problem out and put my math symbols on there. So remember in the last T problem, what did we put down here? 247,000. Our rate stays the same, doesn't it? So I'm going to put 0.07. We're solving for the annual interest again. What is annual interest? So what do we put down here? Well, we don't want to put 247,000 because why? we just paid our principal. We just paid the loan down. So we need to plug this new number that we got here, 246,660.83, and our math tells us to what? Multiply. So times, I have that in my calculator, 0.07 equals 17,266.26, and that is annual interest, right? So let's divide it by 12, and that gives us 1,438.85, and this is monthly interest. All right. Now, all we have to do, and I apologize I don't have all, is bring our monthly principal and interest payment over. So we take our $1,780. Remember, that's principal and interest. And we're going to subtract the interest, right? 1,438.85. We're going to subtract the interest, and that will give us the principal amount. All right? Now, I'm working this a little deep to show you something, but 1,780 minus 1,438.85 means that $341.15 went to principal. Now again, I work this because I want to go over something with you here. We're closing on May 17th, so I took it a step further. And the only reason I took it a step further is I want you to see that when you have an amortized loan, the interest slowly decreases, and that amount that it decreases by, the principal slowly increases, okay? For this problem, all we had to do once we got the monthly interest is what? Divide by 30 and multiply times 17, accrued interest, right? But I wanted to just show you the process of amortizing it down 2 full months, okay? So let me go back over here and just, and so I want you to see this right here. This, in May, how much went to principal? $341.15. How much went in April? $339. I mean, here's the thing that really should be eye-opening to you. And when I've taught real estate, pre-licensed real estate school for years, I think what you learn in this course, whether you ever sell real estate or not, is like golden to you and will help you immensely in your life and your career. If you can look at this and see that in these 2 months, you really only knocked an extra $2 off your, see how slowly the principal is it's taking to pay that off. What I wanted you to see was if you made your mortgage payment in April and you could pay an extra $341.15 on your principal, you just saved yourself $1,400 in interest and $38. And even if you can't pay $341.15 extra, can you now visualize how much an extra $100 a month towards your principal payment can really help you reduce your rate? It can be huge. So let's, just a sidebar there, I wanted you to see that your principal, it went from $339 on April's payment to now the next payment it's just gone up a couple bucks is all. It's moving very slowly. And I just wanted to show you that, to show you the power of paying extra on your principal and how it can help you pay your home off quicker and save you a lot of interest, okay? So let's go back and solve this problem. remember, we want to try to find out the 17th, and we're looking for the accrued interest, right? How much are these 17 days? Well, we got the annual interest, didn't we? With the new loan balance times the interest rate gives us the annual interest. If we divide by 12, we get the monthly interest, $1438.85. $1438.85. And if we divide this by 30, we'll always use a 30-day month. Remember, this is monthly interest. And I just lost my, let me see if I can get that back up there for you. Sorry about that. I just saw where that was disconnected, but I think we're back on now. So we know this is a monthly interest, and if we divide it by 30 days, this will give us the daily interest, which is $1,438.85. We'll divide that by 30, and we get $47.96 per day. Now, we're closing on what? The 17th. So if we take $47.96 per day times 17, that gives us $815.35. And this will be accrued interest. All right, accrued interest. $815.35. So on the closing statement, we'd have to go back over here. On the closing statement, the loan balance, the payoff on May 1st was $246,660.83. So it's going to be a debit, $246,660.83. We're going to do a debit to the seller for the loan payoff. And we're going to do a debit for accrued interest in the amount of $815.35. Okay? Now, you have to read the questions very carefully because they may ask you just what's the accrued interest on the closing statement. They may ask you, what is the loan payoff? What's the mortgage balance and the accrued interest? So you just have to read the questions very carefully. But that's how you amortize a loan out. And remember that interest, just to drive this point home again, mortgage interest. Go back to my iPad. Mortgage interest is always paid in arrears. Okay? Rent is paid in advance. A homeowner's insurance is usually paid in advance. So remember, and how does this affect the close? How's it shown on the closing statement? Well, if you have accrued interest, the loan payoff's going to be a debit, and then that accrued interest to the closing date is also going to be a debit, and that's going to be debits to the seller. Okay. Rent, and let's just work one of these here on the board, and I'm going to go up here on the board and work this one for you just to give a little bit of a change. So rent, let's just say that in this example, the rent is $750. It's paid on the 1st, okay, and we're closing on the 15th. Okay, everybody with me? Rent's $750, paid on the 1st, closing on the 15th. Last week I gave you a question and it said they paid their rent. The rent's due on the 1st. You know, it's in this example, let's just say the rent's due on the 1st. And so last week we had a problem and it said they paid their rent on the 27th of November and the gentleman closed the building on December 5th. How would the proration be on the closing statement? And remember, we don't care that they paid their rent early. If they paid their December rent on the 27th, it was still due on the 1st. That's just information that's trying to trip you up and scare you a little bit. So don't worry about that. So read the questions very carefully. So if I'm the tenant and I pay you my rent on the 1st, you're the seller. So I give you $750 on the 1st. You just took $750. And remember, rent is paid in advance. Paid in advance. You pay it forward, okay? For some reason, that doesn't look right. It might be because it's 9 o'clock and we're all tired, right? But I think it's just advanced. Anyway, advanced. I think it's paid in advance. How about that? Hey, we got to have fun. We're studying real estate, right? You're giving up Facebook and all your favorite TV shows, so we've got to have a little fun while we study. So rent's paid in advance, which means when you pay on the 1st, you're paying from the 1st of the month through the 30th or 31st, depending, however many days there are. So I'm the tenant. I just gave you $750 that you took the money from me as the seller. But now we're selling this property on the 15th. Well, you collected $750. How's this shown on the closing statement? Well, it's just taking $750 and dividing it by 30 days, okay? I'm just going to divide it in 2 because we're closing on the 15th, and so that is $375, right? Would be the amount. And so this would be a debit to, that's right, good job, a debit to the seller for $375, and it would be a credit to the buyer for $375. Okay? So we debit the seller $375 and we credit the buyer $375. Now, why do we debit the seller? Because remember, I gave you all $750 on the 1st, which covered the entire month, and now you just sold the property on the 15th to a new buyer. So shouldn't you give half of that rent to the new buyer? Sure you should. You don't own the property the last 15 days of the month. The new buyer owns it. So therefore, we're going to charge you $375 and we're going to credit the buyer $375. Now, I use the 15th here. It doesn't matter what day it is. Just take your rent, divide it by what? 30, and multiply it times the number of days that are left over, and you can calculate what the charge is to the seller and what the credit is to the buyer. So if we were closing on the 20th, you'd have 10 days of rent, right? You just divide by 30, and however many days are left in the month, that's how you're going to do that. Good job. All right, let's do a couple more, because I'm going to come back over here and we'll get back over here. Let's go to another problem here. Well, let's see. That was the last one. I think I got a couple more here I need to do. Maybe that was it. These are some we've done in the past. Let's do this one right here, although you may have seen the answer go by there, but we can do this together and we'll do it on the board. Oh, I guess you didn't see the answer, because I was looking over on my paper. So here's a question here. A buyer obtains a $78,000 loan amortized for 30 years with an interest rate of 6.75%. Monthly payments are $505.91. Which of the following statements is true? Now, this is a great example of what we've already been working on. So we'll just kind of work through this and see which one of these is going to be true. So I'm going to go over to the board and we're going to work this here. So we want to take the loan amount, which is $78,000, okay? And we want to multiply it times the interest rate on the loan. So this is just a T formula, little T problem, and the rate was 6.75%, and we want to move that over two places, so that's 0.0675 is the interest calculation. Now, what does our math tell us to do? It says multiply, so 78,000 times 0.0675 will give us the annual interest. Remember, we've already done some of these amortization problems. So when we do that, we get $5,265. And again, that is annual interest, okay? Now the question wanted to know, and we'll come back and look at these, but we need to find out what the monthly interest is. So if we divide that by 12, we get $438.75. Let's see. I want to go back here. Yeah, we want to divide 5,265 by 12. And when we divide 5,265 by 12, I get 438.75. Now let's come back over real quickly and take a look at this problem again so you can see this. So the buyer obtains a $78,000 loan, 30 years with an interest rate of 6.75%. Monthly payments are $505.91. Which of the following is true? So we need to go and we need to add the $505.91. This is the monthly payment. Is $505.91. That's the monthly payment. Now, we just solved the monthly interest, didn't we? $438.75. When we subtract $438.75 from the $505.91, we get $67.16, and that is what? Well, remember, this is the monthly payment. Even though they didn't say principal and interest, that's what they mean. This was what? Annual interest divided by 12. Monthly interest. So that's your monthly interest. So this is monthly interest. So when we subtract this from the principal payment, principal and interest payment, this 67.16 would be monthly principal, right? Okay, now let's go back and look at this problem again and see if we can solve it. So a buyer obtains a $78,000 loan amortized for 30 years with an interest rate of 6.75%. Monthly payments are $505.91. Which of the following statements is true? Well, the amount applied to A says the amount applied to principal in the first month's payment is $76.16. I don't think that's what we got up there, was it? Look at that though, $76.16. Notice how they're trying to use the numbers reversed to maybe catch you off guard, where you look at 6, 7, all of the numbers are there, but that's not it. B says the amount applied to principal in the first month's payment is $67.16. That looks like that's what we got there, isn't it? $67.16. So that could be it, and I mean that's the answer, B, but we'll read on. The amount applied to interest in the first month's payment is $505.91. No, remember, $505.91 is the monthly payment. That's going to be principal and interest. So that's not correct. And then D says the amount applied to interest in the first month's payment is $458.75. And of course, you can see right up there that it's $438.75. So the correct answer is B, right there. Now, I will mention to you that next week, well, first of all, I'm going to try to do a live broadcast next week. I may not have the entire setup with me like this. I'm going to see. Unfortunately, I have to go to Hawaii and teach 3 classes. Isn't that terrible? So I'm going to be over there teaching for 3 different associations, and they're very good to me in Hawaii. And I still sell real estate. In fact, I had a very busy day today selling real estate, but I also teach and train, and I am going to Hawaii. So I wanted to just mention that for a couple of quick reasons. First of all, if you try to reach out to me, and many of you know that I'm very good to get back in touch with you just as soon as possible, there may be a time delay in some of that, okay? But I will get back with you just as soon as possible. But secondly, what I wanted to mention to you was we may not do a study session next week, okay? So I'll just have to kind of see how that goes, but I will send out information to you if that's the case. So we'll kind of take a look at that and see how we can work that out. The other thing I was going to mention to you is this was like setting up all of the stuff here for, as I mentioned, I've got 2 cameras, and I'm streaming my iPad and using everything else. And I hope this went okay tonight. It's been kind of fun for me. But I am going to, when you see these kinds of questions here, I'm going to put that in a PowerPoint so that it's bigger and you'll be able to see the question a lot easier. So that's one thing I do plan to do. So I just kind of wanted to give you a heads up on that. So, it's going to be working really hard, even though I'm going to be gone. I'm traveling by myself, and so I'm going to have some downtime where I can really work on the material, and there's several things I'm trying to do. I'm trying to finish adding video for all the math, whether you get it right or you get it wrong, trying to add audio feedback for all of the information. I am adding, and I've just started this, the last year and a half, the final exam, I did not provide a review option for that, and I am adding a review, so when you finish the final exam, if you do not pass it, you can actually now review and see which questions you missed. And I'm adding audio feedback to that as well to help teach the material. I think we had a marvelous pass rate in the month of April. I haven't gotten the numbers yet, but I really believe I'm adding some things that will help you. Now, I realize, and I've had one lady that wrote me and she said, I'm in this new state questions and it's taken me a lot longer than I thought. And, here's all I can say is this exam is tough. It's very, very difficult. But you can pass it, but you have to study. There are students who I think just want to get through my material and they think they can just go in and sneak by the exam and, pass by the skin of their teeth and everything will be fine. I'm telling you what, it'll chew you up and spit you right out on the street, okay? Because it's a tough test. Now, you go to my website, and I put a new video up of a student just a week or 2 weeks ago, a gentleman down in Poplar Bluff, Missouri. Took him 3 weeks. He told me, John, I studied 3 or 4 hours a night for 22 days straight. And he went and took the test and passed it. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, yes, I'm adding some lengthy end of course review questions with answers and audio feedback and videos for you to watch. And you might have to spend 3 or 4 hours going through that. But do you want to pass the test, or do you want me to I want you to pass the test, and it's a difficult test. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, you're going to have to put the time in and study hard. And, don't get discouraged if it takes you 3 hours to go through a review quiz toward the end, because those are good questions and they're going to help you pass the test. So I just, I'm trying so hard to make the course prepare you to go and take that exam and pass it. And I believe we're doing that. And yes, I am adding audio feedback, and I'm adding some extra videos, and it might slow down the process a little bit, but I think in the long run it'll be very worth it. It'll be worth it for you. And just like the end of course exams, having the ability to review and hear my voice explain the topic again, I just think it will help you in that respect. I'm also breaking up chapter 15 into some smaller modules because I know it's pretty long. And so I want to just kind of give you a word of caution here. If for some of you who've gone past module 15, if I make those changes this week and upload everything, it may prevent you from going further. So just reach out to me and say, hey, John, I'm in chapter 20 and it won't let me go forward. I'll mark these new module 15s complete for you, and you won't have to go back and go through those. But again, just reach out to me. Best way to get me is through email, or you can text me as well. Some of you leave some live chat messages or chat with me on the live chat, and that's fine as well. But email is probably my preferred method of correspondence, and I check my email a lot and try to get back. So I am updating that. I'm adding some audio feedback for those because also I'm going to be adding some more audio and video recaps as we go throughout the course. Well, I hope this was fun. I kind of had, I'm going to put the camera back up here and I'll erase everything. It's a neat little setup, and kind of just, I think once I iron out some of the bugs and I'm able to actually use the PowerPoint and have the question a little easier for you to read, I think that'll work good. We will, on some of our study sessions, I'm actually wanting to go through some of the math because I needed to record more math, and I'm actually now going in and splitting this math up and embedding it into the course material and questions. So I needed to do some math, but we will probably start picking up on the course material, and I'll pick some chapters and we'll go through those as we move forward on some of our study sessions. The other thing, don't forget, go out to iTunes and subscribe to my podcast. It's Global Real Estate School, and I'm going to be putting up almost all of the chapters. So if you're in your car driving to work, if you want to go out and take a walk, or you're exercising, you can study. I'm getting a lot of good feedback from the students who are subscribing. So subscribe to the podcast. Give me a 5 stars too. That would be great. And then also, if you have an Amazon Alexa at home, search in the skills category for Global Real Estate School. In fact, as soon as we get off here, I'm going to upload my latest skill, or my latest podcast. But add the Global Real Estate School to your Amazon Alexa skill, and then when you get up during the day, or I'm updating it throughout the week a couple times, you can say, Alexa, what's my flash briefing? And you will hear Global Real Estate School. You will hear me give you some tips on taking the test and definitions and other things. So we have podcasts you can study by. We have live streaming. We have an Alexa app. I mean, there's no reason why you can't pass the test, but it's tough. But now reach out to me if you have any questions. You know I'm always here to help you out. I really appreciate your business, and hope this was enjoyable for you tonight. Have a good evening, get a good night's rest, and we will talk to you again next week from beautiful Hawaii. Maybe we won't. I might have to wait till I get back. So anyway, have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon.